Hi, I'm Abby Callis, Director of Quality, Outcomes, and Training at Family Service and Guidance Center. Welcome to the Real World Parenting Series. This month, we're going to be talking about discipline strategies that actually work with our kids. The first thing that I wanted to talk with you about is the idea of the difference between what a consequence is versus what punishment and reinforcement or rewards are. Often when we think about disciplining our young children or our older children, we think rewards and then we think punishment. And what I'd like to do is reframe that to the concept of a consequence. Consequences are what occur based on the behavioral choices that we make. So if I decide to wear a big chunky sweater when it's very, very hot outside, the consequence is that I'm going to be hot. No one had to reward me and no one had to punish me. There are just consequences based on the behavioral choices that we make. And that is something that we can use with our young kids or our older kids who are making behavioral choices that we may not agree with or that we want to work on with them. And so when we need to make a consequence for our child, when we want our child to have a consequence for the behavior that they have chosen or that they're engaged in, it's really, really important to remember that consequences, when we can, should make a logical connection to the behavior that they've engaged in. So as an example, if you want your child to not mark on the wall, you want them not to draw or paint on the wall, you could punish that behavior by taking away their cell phone or taking away their toys. A consequence would tell you that when you draw on the wall, you don't get markers. So the choice of marking on the wall means you no longer have markers to play with. That's a consequence versus a punishment. And it also has a logical connection. So what that child learns is when I do this particular thing, this other thing happens and I don't want to lose my markers, so I'm not going to draw on the wall. That's a consequence. The other thing that I would like to talk about is this idea of timeout. So a lot of times parents will talk about or think about timeout as a punishment, and I'd like to use the concept of timeout as a means for your child to learn about how to better control their behaviors. Timeout is really a time frame by which you can pause and you can learn to calm down. And we could talk a little bit more about that in a different setting, but I want to have you think about timeout as a period where your child can calm down versus that being a punishment that you use to change their behavior. So that's all for now. Come back next Thursday for another real world parenting video.